it together, but starting off on the floor. So I have a block that'll be within reaching distance. We actually won't use it for our first bridge move because you don't always need to do bridge with a block. And you'll see why. We'll come on down. And first, just get your feet on the floor. You can have your arms by your side or anywhere in your body that they just kind of naturally fall. You feel your shoulder blades just connected to your back ribs, but then also connected to the floor. So just getting a little bit of that, like pull back, a little bit of that. Releasing to gravity. Check in with your neck. Notice if it feels shortened at all. Can you lower the chin in a little bit? Maybe give a little bit more space to the back of the neck. Just kind of pointing out some of those big landmark areas for all of us that we can tend to feel from time to time. Then from here, we're just going to very gently bring our chin over towards the right shoulder. So in the reset class I sent out yesterday, we kind of started with some neck stuff, and we have more neck moves to go over in that class, but just wanted to start it off again in this session, just with a little rotation here to the right. And you'll bring yourself back through center, nice and steady, and then you'll lower the chin over towards the left shoulder. So almost like you're just doing a very slow and extended nodding of your head now. And you'll come back through center. And again, just keep that chin relatively in and towards the chest, but then we'll look over to the right shoulder. Maybe just taking a full breath cycle before bringing it up through center and then back over to the left. And absolutely feel free to stay in your rotation for like 2 breaths, or if you want to go a little bit slower as you transition. And then one more time, maybe over to the left. And up through center. Press into your feet. And from here, we're going to root our tailbone towards the heels and lift our pelvis up off the floor. Now we feel those glutes firing up for us here. Your feet could even be a little closer in towards the center, but we're going to begin to open and close our legs, little butterflies here. So that's why we're going no block. You can imagine you'd have lost it pretty quick. So we're opening and closing it here, getting a little internal, external rotation. This is one where I would really point out, it's not so much about how much you can roll your thighs open, but it's about keeping your pelvis steady and still while you move those legs. So the movement might be even smaller than, say, like what you would expect, but as long as you're keeping that pelvis neutral, I'm A-okay with it. Keep the movement small, really clear, really focused. Keep your little butterflies going, but we'll start to stretch out the wrists. A little distraction for the mind. We'll pull back the fingers, let that left thumb pull away from the center of the palm, and you're just opening it up here. 2 more breaths. Release left wrist, circle it a few times, and stretch out the right wrist. You release your right wrist, you can slow your little butterfly pulses down, arms back down by your side and come all the way down. Maybe see if you can bring it down 1 vertebrae at a time. I know for me, that low back area tends to be the hardest to get down 1 piece at a time, because once it's all stay clumped together there. But you'll come back to your natural curves and we'll find our block. If we have that block, bring it widest setting in between the knees and take your knees over your hips. So we'll go widest setting, block widest in between the knees, squeezing, hands come behind the head. We're working the outer muscles of the hips with those external rotations. This will work your adductors a little more using the block and core. Right off the bat, with the hands behind the head, just want you to check and notice if your pelvis is tipping at all to hold this here. So we want the sacrum, the back of the pelvis, to stay nice and glued on the ground. Big inhale here. Exhale and lift, shoulders come up. Squeeze your block, gather everything into the center and hold those shoulders tall and proud. Inhale more. Exhale and lift, gather together. Shoulders come up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your block. Spread the toes, maybe pull in a little bit deeper, really gather it together. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift, gather together. Squeeze, take a twist to the left. So as you twist to the left, your right elbow comes towards that left knee. Back through center, inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Twist to the right, which means we bring our left elbow as if it was trying to touch the front of that block. Don't worry, it won't get anywhere close to that. Come back through center, inhale and lower. It's not necessarily the goal, but holding ourselves steady here. Exhale and lift, gather together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your block. Little twist to the left. So you hold steady in that core. You squeeze your block, you pull in deeper. Come back through center, then lower. Exhale and lift. Twist to the right. You stay off that right shoulder blade. Hold it steady, hold it strong. Come through center, inhale and lower. Now stay down here. And as you're squeezing your block, I want you to take your legs together and point your block to the right. So this is swiveling your pelvis, and then bring it back through center and point your block to the left. So now you're swiveling your pelvis and the face of that block is just slightly pointing towards the left. Bring it back through center. So right, center, left. Good. Now we're going to do that with our shoulders lifted. Inhale. Exhale and lift. Swivel your pelvis to the right, which means that block faces towards that right elbow. Bring it back through center. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift, squeeze your block. Swivel your pelvis to the left, which means the face of the block is sort of facing that left elbow. Come back through center. Inhale and lower. This is where it gets tricky, but only 2 more of these. Exhale and left. Twist your upper body to the right. Swivel your pelvis to the right. Really, really good there. Now bring your pelvis back through center, your upper body back through center. Inhale and lower. Last one. Exhale and lift. You'll twist to the left. Swivel your pelvis. Sorry, twist to the right. Swivel your pelvis to the left. Hold that steady there. Reducing the space in the core. Back through center, then legs. Inhale, lower. Release block. Oh, this will feel really good to windshield wiper the legs in that wide position. I don't know about you, but for me, lots of awakening there in the inner groin muscles. We're holding that block for a while. We're getting it to engage and getting it to awaken with that apparatus of the core. So keep rooting your tailbone to the heels. Remember, this move here is just all about moving our leg bones inside our hip sockets. All right, now come back through center and we'll come on to hands and knees. Little quadruped here. In our quadruped, we're gonna wake up the back chain of the body. Come to your quad, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Check your head, so you can even lift your gaze for a second and then pull your chin in towards your throat. Spine is nice and long here. Left knee stays down and right leg extends back. Squeeze your right glute, really press your right toe into the ground. You can even give it a little pat or tap and then press into that right foot. Just a little extension and flexion of the ankle here, pressing through that big toe mound. A little extend and rebend. We're firing up that whole posterior chain on that right side at the same time. It's a little stretch for our wrists here. Let's go just with another 3, 2, and 1. We will bring our right knee to bend, come next to the left knee, tuck your left toes, extend them back behind you, and then press left big toe mound into the ground. Again, if you want to give your left glute a little extra pat or tap, feel free to pause for a moment, get that little pat or tap into that left glute. That left glute struggling to fire up for you, then that area will be loose, released. So tauten it up, get it ready for action. We're just preparing it to send this energy through. And you'll just go another 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down onto your forearms, set up for dolphin. So we can have our block between our hands, we can tie the hands together, our forearms on the ground. Release your neck, big breath in here. Tuck your toes, exhale, push near forearms and hover your knees off the ground. Maybe eventually hoist your pelvis even higher towards the ceiling. So in your dolphin, I want you to flow your throat into the back of the neck, tuck your chin in, spread the toes, try pushing into your toes, lifting your ankles, and then releasing your ankles down. And just go back and forth a couple of times between those two. So you're just shifting the weight back and forth a little bit. The real challenge here is to try and stay pushing into your forearms, stay lifted in the chest. So whether those toes are up or the heels are down, we're just modifying the posterior chain, trying to stay supported in the upper chain. All right, core stays on. One more time, onto the toes. Relax the heels, knees down, child pose. All right, and from your child's pose, come on up and find a spot on the wall. You do a little down dog or dolphin on the wall. Up to you how you want to practice that. Can always be useful to get your measurement first. So I even like to take a block with me to the wall and use it as my measure for my hips. You just get your feet against the wall. Legs will straighten out. And my hint there is they don't have to be totally straight in the knees, especially if straightening your knees you find really causes your back to round. Get them as straight as you can get your legs without rounding in the back. So if you feel like the legs are mostly straight, but the spine is upright and long, A-okay. Feet are against a wall or a chair, any surface we're walking up against. So I'll put my block next to my hips. That way I don't have to think about that distance anymore. When I flip it around, my hands are still in the same spot. They're next to the block, but they're facing the other way. And then you'll hoist it up to down dog. Your feet touch the wall and walk up the wall. Relax your neck, pull your ribs in, grab the ground. Big breaths here. Takes a big breath to support a powerful movement like down dog on the wall. I recommend when you come down, shake out your wrists a little, maybe roll the shoulders back a couple of times. Oh, feels good. Then when you come back up and try it again, you might find there's just a little bit more freedom in that posterior chain. I mean, this is it, right? We're tight in our shoulders and our neck, as I know so many of us unfortunately do deal with in our 2021 world. You need more shoulder activation. Those shoulders hold us in place. It's like the ultimate reliever for the neck. This is the opposite of headstand. We're releasing the neck, not putting all 100 some pounds of your body on top of your neck. Oh gosh. Okay, so go on up to the top of the mat. Oh, if you want to break your neck, you can do it somewhere else, not here. Oh, and we'll meet in our mountain pose. Ready to go. So we'll get ready for some sun salutations. Saluting the sun, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge your hips. Hands come down, knees can bend to do that. Step the right leg back. Lately, I'll just point out, I've been keeping my right knee bent a little bit, so that when I lower it down, I just find I'm in a better position when I come to my 90-90 low lunge. So you can take that for your own information too. If you notice having that leg straight sometimes puts you a little too far back into it. Hands come down, step back for plank. That was just a new revelation. Wanted to share it. We'll lower our knees, lower all the way to the ground. So if you can use an exhale and the retention to keep that core on, then inhale, fill it back up as you pull your hands back for cobra. Tuck your toes, press up through plank. Fold yourself in half, downward facing dog. Let's hold our chest with support. Feel like your forearms are lifting away from the floor. Right foot steps forward, left knee comes down. 90-90 low lunge, arms reach forward and up. And again, feel that left glute is working for you here. Low ribs stay on, reach the shoulders. Hands come down to the blocks, to the floor, anything you can touch. Left foot steps to meet the right. Exhale, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Hands come down, left foot steps back. Left knee comes down. 90-90, arms reach forward and up. Big inhale here. Hands come down, step back for plank. So you can use an exhale and the retention. Lower your knees, lower all the way to the ground. Keep the head of the arm bones lifted, pull back in cobra. Tuck and push, plank, up through plank. Fold yourself in half, downward, facing dog. Left foot steps forward, right knee comes down. 90-90, arms reach forward, up, inhale. Hands down, exhale, step, top of the mat. Arms reach up. Exhale, hinge. Right steps back, right comes down. 90-90, arms up. Lower the arms by our side, and let's circle shoulders back. So a few times like this. One more. When arms come down by your side, tuck your right toes, pick up the right foot, turn to the right, and side lunge to the right. Sit back into the right hip, the left leg gets long, press into the right foot, sit back into the left hip, the right leg gets long, press in the left foot, sit back in the right hip, press in the right foot, sit back in the left hip. So we'll keep going like that. I like to move my hands from hip to hip, really almost like push my leg bone back into my hip socket. One more time to the right. Catch one breath with me here. Inhale, exhale, walk the hands back to the front, big transition. Right hand down, right knee down, modified side plank. Left leg goes back. Let's keep the left foot on the floor for this first one. Press into that left foot. Right knee's under your right hip. You can kickstand it behind you as much as you'd like. Your left hand is gonna grab your right arm bone where it plugs into the shoulder socket. Make sure it's nice and stable here. You want to feel like our arm bone is like a little golf ball sitting on its tee here in the shoulder socket. So if your hand feels like it's forward or in front of you, just pull it right underneath that shoulder. Pick it up for a second and put it right back, like a column of support here. Then left hand on top of the left hip. So you extra press into your left foot, squeeze your left glute. Then when the left arm reaches up here, we can let our right ear go to our right shoulder. Oh, big breath in here. And left hand comes down, left knee comes down. Quadruped, tuck your toes, hoist your pelvis up, downward facing dog. Then you'll step your feet to the top of the mat. Exhale, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge your hips, hands come down. Left foot back, left knee down. 90-90, arms reach up. Then hands down by your side. When you roll your shoulders back one at a time, it just becomes this little freeing scrubbing out of the scapula. So we're freeing the scapulohumeral rhythm, getting ourselves up into it. And then we'll slow that down. If it's not already, tuck your left toes, pick up the left, and side lunge to the left. Press in the left foot, side lunge to the right, press in the right foot, side lunge to the left. Back and forth a couple times between those two. Spread the toes, grab the ground, get those toe muscles warming up, like you're trying to grip some sand with your feet. And then everybody, one time to the left. Sit into the left hip, big breath in. Now here comes our big transition. Walk your hands back to the front. Your left knee comes down. Your left hand is down, modified side plank. Right foot will stay down. And left foot can kickstand behind us just a bit. Left hand, let's check it. Right hand on top of that left glenohumeral joint. So that's where your arm bone plugs in your shoulder socket. If it's not directly underneath you, like you feel like it's a column on a building, get it there. And then bring your right hand on top of your right hip. You want to feel your right glute is squeezing, pressing your right foot into the floor, and then reach your right arm up. Now, finally, let your left ear fall to your left shoulder. Maybe even look down at the ground. Big inhale. Right hand comes down, right knee comes down, quadruped. Once again, tuck your toes, push into those hands, lift your pelvis up, downward facing dog, and you can step left foot, right foot, top of the mat. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge your hips, hands come down, step or a little hop back, plank pose, lower knees, lower all the way to the ground, head of the arm bones stay lifted, pull back your hands in cobra, inhale and root that tailbone, and then tuck your toes, push back through plank. Up through plank, fold yourself in half to the downward facing dog. One breath here, and then come back to the top of the mat. It could be a little hop, it could be a float. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Step or hop back. Plank pose, lower, knees are not, head of the arm bones stay lifted, pull back for cobra. Exhale, up through plank, down dog. Use the strength of the abdominals to lift you up. Bend and straighten, press through the toes. Feel that little float, hop, whatever you like. Come on up, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge, hips, hands come down, step, float, whatever. Come back, plank, lower, cobra, pull through with the inhale, push, up through plank, downward, facing dog. Really, really nice here. Now step your left foot forward, right knee comes down. We're coming back to a 90-90 to set up our twisted crescent here. So reach that right arm up and bring your left hand down onto your back right glute. Make a little fist with your left knuckle on your right glute. Then right hand comes down inside the left foot. Now, if you really feel like this is a very short amount of space for you to be in, maybe bring your hand up onto a block. Personally, for me, in twisted crescent, I like my hand on the medium height of the block, my right hand. Left hand is still on the right glute. Now, squeeze that right glute and lift your glute up and in to your left hand. So that is going to be where we keep the pelvis nice and neutral. You can feel the sacrum again. Feel like you could sit a glass of water right here. And your pelvis, the bone structure here, will not move. Press in your right hand, rotate your ribs around the ribs, open to the left. Don't let your pelvis dip down. Keep squeezing your right glute. Maybe let that right ear go to the right shoulder again. And then from here, slowly close off that left side of the torso and rise up for warrior two. So right heel lands, right arm is back, left arm is forward. Reverse, exhale, reach the left arm up. A little lateral flexion, come back through center, inhale. Arm to leg and right arm over. Pressing that right foot. Come back up, inhale. Exhale and up. Inhale back through. Forearm, thigh, and sweep it over. Press into that foot. Squeeze that right glute. Now come back up one more time, warrior two. And then right hand comes down. Right knee comes down. There's a little fake out to flash dance. We come down to that right hip and send that left leg long. Really good. So my right knee is still bent. My right foot's lined up inside my left leg here. Right hand's outside that right hip, pressing that right hand and extend the hips forward. Oh, let that right ear go again. And we'll close off that left hand, step it back, come back through down dog. Big inhale here. And exhale. Step your right foot forward. Lower the left knee. 90-90 low lunge. Arms reach forward and up. Left hand stays up. Right hand comes down. Onto the right glute. You want to knuckle that down. Feel that left glute reach up and into the right fist. And then left hand comes down. Inside the right foot. And it really can't be too wide. So if you feel like it's really close, go a little wider with your hand. But again, I'm up on the medium height of the block. Squeeze your left glute. Lift your left glute up and into your right knuckles. Lean on your left shoulder. Big inhale. So again, as we're rotating open to the right, you want to keep that left side of the hip lifted. Keep that glass of water from spilling on the back of the pelvis. The rotation here is happening in the ribs. Let your left ear go to your left shoulder. One more breath. Unwind. And then from here, open up Warrior two, right leg forward, arms reach out, reverse, right arm reaches up. Come back through center with an inhale, forearm thigh, and left arm sweeps over. Rise back up, inhale, and one more time. Forearm thigh, and you come up through warrior two. Here's our funky transition. We're gonna take a little windmill, left hand down, turn on the toes, left knee lands, and then instead of seated spiral, we just kick our right leg to the back of the mat. Left knee still bent, left hand is down outside the left hip, press and open. So there's a little flash dance move here. Right foot still presses into the ground. Lean on that left shoulder. Big hip flexor stretch, iliopsoas, opening up. Root your tailbone. Right hand comes down. Step it back for down dog. Big breath in here. Exhale. Step or float to the top. When you're ready, come on up, grab a little water, wipe off some sweat. We're gonna put those two sequences together and combine them, adding on a couple of things, nothing you haven't already seen. They'll just be in a little bit of a different order. So sip that water, use a towel, whatever feels good. We'll come back up to the top. We'll find ourselves with our arms by our side, just for the final stream. And let's get ready to do this thing. So arms by our side, inhale, reach them forward and up. Grounding from the ground, exhale, hinge at the hips. Still feel that connection through your feet, but now your shoulders joined by the hands touching the ground. Right foot steps back, right knee comes down. 90-90, arms reach forward and up. Hands by your side, roll the shoulders back one at a time. Option to grab that glenohumeral joint with the hand and roll back. Now, of course, if that feels like, whoa, a lot, keep your arms by your side. Not required. This is just a little more range of motion for you. So still backstroking it. Core stays on. And then we'll slow this down. Tuck the toes. Open up to the right. Side to side lunges. You can throw a little twist in there, just around the ribs. A few more times each way. Keep sitting back into the hips. There's a little bit. Actually, no, we'll keep this the same. Change my mind. Walk your hands to the front, modified side plank again. So right hand down, right knee down, left leg sweeps back. Good. Feel that left foot either on the floor or you can lift it from the floor this time. More of a floating modified side plank. Third option is left arm up. You could still let your right ear go to your right shoulder and maybe backstroke your left arm. So of course your left foot anchoring you will be very supportive, but if you want to go with the foot lifted, you're just getting a little extra challenge for your right glute medius to stabilize you. All right, last time, left arm comes around, land it, step that left foot through. Right hand is down, maybe bring it up onto a block. Left hand comes around onto that right glute, lift it, twisted crescent. So if you want, as you start to twist open to the left, still feel that right glute is lifted. Option to energetically pull your left femur bone back into your hip socket. So imagine you're pulling your leg bone back a little bit more. You'll notice naturally that starts to straighten your leg. I don't want you to focus on straightening your leg, but really just think about that femur bone pulling back. Give yourself a nice big stretch there in the outer left hip. Ooh, and then unwind with the left. Open up to the right. Warrior two. Right arm out, left arm out. This time, hands into prayer center. Press your palms together. Inhale. Exhale, reverse. And imagine your left elbow like shining a beam of energy up to the ceiling. Energy of love. Come back up. Channeling it through our heart and exhaling. Warrior variation, right elbow shines that energy beam up to the ceiling. Come back up, inhale. We got a little beam of energy, left elbow shines it up. And then back up. And once again, warrior variation. So we bring that left elbow to face towards the floor, right elbow to face up. Back up. Arms reach out. big windmill, right hand down, land your right knee behind your left ankle and come to that seated spiral. There it is. So you can sit on the block or not, or kick your bottom leg out. Lots of options here. Side bending, left hand down. We'll bring our right arm up and over. Rise back up. Left arm can come up and bend that right elbow. One more time. Left hand down, right arm up. Anchor your right glute down as you reach over to the left, and then come back up. As your left arm reaches over, try not to let your left cheek leave the floor of the block. That'll really anchor you down for a nice big side stretch. Come back up, and then we'll uncross left ankle for our flash dance-like move, but this is different. So we're sitting in our little flash dance type move. You can come off of your block if you're sitting up on a block. I find it is a little easier for me to not be balancing on my block, but you're absolutely welcome to stay on it. And then from here, upright, we're gonna do our little twist and punch and or reach. You could do a punch or a reach, whatever is more energizing for you, but breathe with that. Notice that tendency to round. Let's keep our spine upright. I can feel mine rounding out a little bit, so I'm trying to pull it back. All right, slow it down. And then finally, right hand behind the right hip, press into that right side, flash dance it. Oh, one more breath here. Then land the left hand, step that right foot back, walk it back for a deep forward fold. Hands come back towards the feet, drape your ribs over your chest. You can have your hands on the ground, fingertips, palms. I also like to walk my hands forward to give myself a little more space. But then when my hands are forward, I grip the mat like Spider-Man style. So you want those fingertips and you want to pull it back, you know, just that like little tenting that Spider-Man seems to do and he's climbing up that wall. But I like that image because you can imagine how strong you'd have to be to grab a wall with your fingertips. I want you to feel that same feeling of your fingertips just gripping into the ground. We can develop our own little, you know, spider powers here. Let's walk it forward and bring it to the top. You can do a little down dog walk. Rise on up, inhale. Hinge, other side here. Hands come down, left foot back. Left knee down, 90-90. And inhale, arms reach forward and up. Then as you bring them down by your side, you're gonna roll your shoulders back. Now feel free to cup hold of your glenohumeral joint. So arm bone meets the shoulder socket. Glenoid humeral joint. Here's the anatomy lesson. Your humerus, your top of the arm bone, the glenoid process, your shoulder socket. There's a little bit more to it in the back with the scapula. This is basically a rotator cuff freer. So you know someone with a little bit more of a locked up rotator cuff, ooh, they need some moves like this. All right, slow it down and we'll tuck our left toes, open up to the left. Side to side lunges. You can throw some twists in there. This time, maybe you tap a hand down. Not required. You could keep the hands up on the ribs, but I just like this because I get like a nice little, almost like windmilling effect going on here. Nice. Everybody side lunge to the left and then walk your hands back to the front. Modified side plank, left hand down, right leg goes back. So your right leg can stay on the floor or it can lift. Make sure your left hand's underneath your left shoulder socket. With the right arm up, you can still release the left ear and then backstroke the right arm. So I go back to my leg first, then down to the floor, sweep it in front of my face and up to the ceiling. Your left scapula is stabilizing you, holding you here. Your right scapula is mobilizing. Then right hand down, step right foot through. We're coming for our twisted crescent. So before I do that, I want my left hand on a block. Me personally, because the floor is a little far away, we'll bring our right hand around, knuckle that left glute, lift that left knee by squeezing that left glute. As you rotate open to the right, you're leaning on your left shoulder. Your left hand can't be, you know, maybe too wide, but go wider as opposed to narrower if you feel like you're narrow. Left ear releases and energetically feel like you could pull your right femur bone, your big leg bone here, into that hip socket. So the goal isn't, you know, I don't want you to necessarily have to straighten your knee, but you will feel your knee straighten out as you create more of a pull on that outer hip. Again, energetically, right leg bone back into the hip socket. One more breath there. And then as you unwind your right side, you'll lower your left heel down and then let that naturally open you up to your warrior two. Hands into heart center. Press your palms together for your shoulders and your back ribs. Inhale. Exhale, reverse. Right elbow up like a beam of light to the sky. Come back up, inhale. And again, we're gonna send that beam of light up to the ceiling, but this time with that left elbow shining up. Back up, inhale. Our little message from our heart to the heavens, right elbow, sending that message. Come back up, inhale. And one more time, warrior variation. Left elbow up to the ceiling and back through. So here, arms reach out, windmill, transition to seated spiral, left knee behind, right ankle. I personally really like sitting up on my block for this move. It's just too tight if I'm down on the ground there. And side bending, right hand by your right side, left arm reaches up, side bend. Oh, anchor your left cheek down, your butt cheek, while you lean over and come back through. Right arm up and bend the elbow. It's almost like a funny cue, but really, as soon as you feel like the flesh of your glute lift off of the ground, you're gonna wanna keep that attached to the ground to get yourself the most out of that stretch. One more time, left arm up and, just think of it like, that's like the other end, what it's connected into. So don't unplug the device. It won't be charging at all. We'll come back through. You'll be so bummed. You'll wake up in the morning, you're like, it didn't charge. We've all been there. Rise back up. And then from here, uncross your right ankle from your left leg, come down to seated flash stance, but instead we'll begin by reaching. So as I reach my right arm across to the left side of the body and then reverse it. Ooh, feels so much fun to free up in me here. So breathe through it. Spine stays long. And then slow on purpose, slow these little rotations down. Left hand outside your left hip, press and flash dance. Reach that right arm, press that right foot, squeeze that right glute. Then bring your right hand around, come back to quadruped. And let's get a few cat-cows here. So curl your tailbone down to the floor and let a little wave ripple up your spine. You're rounding your whole back out and releasing your neck. Then look forward with your neck. Bring that wave back through your spine, articulating it into extension, lifting your tailbone. So you'll root your tailbone down, articulate one vertebrae at a time, shoulders round, chin tucks in, neck goes, and then you'll pull it through, chin lifts, shoulders in the back ribs, core stays on. Push into your hands, root your tailbone, exhale, lift the core. Come back through, inhale. Lift the tailbone, like a little wave travels through your spine. Keep going like that. So again, it's just like when we lowered out of our bridge, just trying to move one vertebrae at a time. And it's a little bit more of like an ideal instruction than necessarily like a you have to instruction. So don't be worried if you feel like certain parts of your spine, like for me, it's my low back region, right below those ribs, right above that tailbone. I can just feel that sometimes as I move it, those vertebrae don't necessarily all like move clearly one at a time. Sometimes they go by like twos and threes. So I'm just working on freeing that space a little bit, learning to articulate them each. And as I go through my cat-cows, I can feel them freeing up just a little bit. Remember, that's an everyday thing, When I get to this every day, move this vertebrae with an engaged core too. So I really recommend if you're gonna do your cat-cows, try to get a little core work in first. Just a few of those crunch and lifts. That's gonna hold your abdominals up. And you think of your abdominals like they hug the front of your spine. They hold the front of your spine up. So I it's simplified logic, but it's also just like makes sense. We're all experiencing stuff in our backs because the front side of our body isn't activated really at all. If we do have front side activation, a lot of times it's the men, us guys, and we're just like strong in our pecs and our shoulders. So you can imagine too, how that's then contributing to rounding us forward and making our necks even more tight. When in reality, if we balance that out with a little bit more core, lower front body stabilizing, oh, our back would get so much relief. And I think you feel that, as you come to these classes, you leave, you feel that spine a little bit more supported. It's because we are hugging it from the front. So you can slow your cat-cow down. And then from here, I actually like to come into a little cat round just to step my left leg through. It makes the space for it. We're coming to pigeon. So wiggle your left foot over to the right until you come to a little ballet sit. Now, if you're unfamiliar, ballet sit's like a little 90-90 for your legs. I'm on my left butt cheek, but my right butt cheek is lifted. So that does not have to touch the ground, but your left hip will stay on the ground. Now, from here, you're just gonna bring your hands in front of your left leg. So your hands are in front of your left knee, and it doesn't have to be perfect. They're not necessarily framing out your front left knee. Stay up here, inhale and exhale. Option to come a little bit lower onto your forearms. Third option is to take your big toe mound of the right foot and roll your right thigh in. And as you're rolling your right thigh in, you'll get a little internal rotation for that right leg, and you'll feel a little external rotation for that left leg. So I'm just breathing here. As I roll my right thigh in, my right knee doesn't necessarily have to lift from the ground. I get that question a decent amount from people. It doesn't really matter. What matters more is that your right thigh is rolling in. If you're going for that option, you can also keep the ballet sit style. The right thigh rolling in activates the internal rotators on the right side. Since we're trying to release your piriformis on the left, your piriformis does external rotation. Think of our butterflies that we did in the beginning of the class in our bridge. That's your piriformis working for you. So we're getting a little stretch now. We activated at the beginning of class. We're releasing it here. We'll bring our right knee back to bend. When you're ready, you can take longer in that side if you want. Walk your hands back up if you were down. Slide your leg through. And again, I just like a little cat round to help clear the space for my right foot to come through. You can also pop up on your fingertips. Wiggle your right foot over to the left. I just do it until I can fall down on my right glute. Not, fall down, but lower myself safely. And then hands frame out that front right leg. Come onto your forearms as an option. Stay long in the spine. Option to take your left big toe mound, roll it in towards the floor. And as you roll that left thigh in towards the ground, you'll feel a little external rotation on that right side. One more inhale. Now remember, the core will stay on here. So you feel the belly button lift into the back line of the body. You can let your neck go, but again, try not to just totally release your belly, your core. So again, we want to continue to hug our abdominals into the front of the spine to keep that length there. As my left toe presses into the floor, I just work on internally rotating that left thigh down, feeling a nice stretch for that external rotator on the right side, that piriformis. Your piriformis has some, literally the sciatic nerve like runs through it. So piriformis can often get categorized as like a bad guy, I got a grumpy piriformis, that kind of thing. When in reality, it's we're feeling it there just because those muscle fibers have quite a good portion of that sciatic nerve running through them. So if that area is tight, congested, rigid, we feel that in the nerve. So we're just giving a little release here, just a little gentle breath. And we'll rebend the left knee. And this time, as you walk your hands back, I like to just come straight onto my back from here. So we'll lay all the way down, catch our Shavasana. Your Shavasana, there's a few options I like to give. Just keeping the feet walked in can be nice to keep your spine long, especially if you notice your own tendency as your legs go long to lift your low back and to really pop your ribs forward. I'd say keep your feet in and just drop your knees in together. It's going to be better for you that your spine stays long here and more natural in its curves. Now, if it does feel comfortable to let those legs go long, go for it. But guys, I just want you to notice if any of the curves in your spine got like really extreme from doing that, maybe not so extreme. And then finally, keep in mind that you are welcome to change the position of your Shavasana for these next couple minutes while we just lay here and let the practice reset. We're not beholden to whatever position we took first, but instead we are free to move into any position that will serve us best. And yes, that does mean claiming our power, claiming our confidence, being able to look at things critically and to question them, to decide for ourselves if something feels right or if something feels forced. It's okay if it shares both of those qualities too, right? It's a little forced, but it also feels good. Sometimes we need to force ourselves to do those things. But certainly if we feel like we're forcing something and it's not serving us well, I would personally say maybe we can back away from that. We're putting a lot of effort into something that isn't building us up. Maybe take another inhale and let that breath come in. Side out and take your arms forward and up. Big stretch. And then exhale, let that go. You can pull your limbs into your torso here. And get a little rock from side to side. Make your way over to any side that feels comfortable to come to, and then make your way up to any position that feels comfortable to sit in. It doesn't have to be what I take, but really anything that feels authentic and dignified in your body. We can place our hands anywhere on the body together or just by our side. As we acknowledge the space from within, so too do we bow to that space within each other. And in bowing to that space and acknowledging that space that we all share together, we acknowledge how we are all tied in this space as one. And so I bow to your space and you, respect, with light, and may we all be happy, healthy, safe. May we all live our lives with ease. Namaste. Have a great rest of the day, everybody, and enjoy.